The year is 1177. Jerusalem bleeds. Saladin has united the Muslim world under a single banner. Egypt and Damascus obey his command. Now he rides north with a force that darkens the horizon. Mamluk cavalry, Kurdish horsemen, infantry hardened by desert war. Every report agrees. Jerusalem cannot meet him in the open field. Saladin is 39. Brilliant, patient. He has burned the coastal towns, tested every garrison, and now turns toward Jerusalem. Weak, divided, led by a king, barely more than a child. Inside the city, panic spreads. Most of the kingdom's army is away in the north. Baldwin has perhaps 300 knights and a few thousand infantry. Against Saladin's thousands, the end seems certain. Then, the king rises, Baldwin IV, 16 years old, his body ravaged by leprosy, numb hands, bandaged fingers, lesions across his face. A boy who should be bedridden. Instead, he stands. We ride. Today. Every man who can sit a horse. The nobles stare. A dying king against Saladin. 300 knights against thousands. Baldwin doesn't wait for their approval. Bring my armor, my horse, and the true cross. He understands what fear has made others forget. When darkness comes, you do not count odds. You charge. Word spreads through Jerusalem. The Leper King rides to war. Templars form ranks instantly. 80 knights in white mantles with red crosses. Officers shout orders. Sergeants grab weapons. The city watches as Baldwin mounts his warhorse, gripping the reins with hands that barely feel. He rides because he is the king. He rides because Jerusalem is his to defend. Baldwin reaches Ascalon the same day Saladin does. He advances, sees the overwhelming numbers, and withdraws into the city. Saladin assumes the boy king is finished and turns toward Jerusalem. His army scatters across the countryside, raiding, plundering, relaxed. No one believes any Christian force can threaten them. But Baldwin is not finished. He issues the Arriere ban, summoning every able-bodied Christian. Templars break out from Gaza to join him. Burgesses flood to his banner. By the time he rides north again, he commands perhaps 500 knights and several thousand infantry. Still outnumbered. Still facing impossible odds, but no longer alone. Then the scouts arrive. Saladin's army is stretched out over miles, small detachments raiding, others marching, only a fraction near the Sultan himself. Baldwin sees the opening instantly. Where is Saladin? Near Montgisard, 5,000 to 8,000 with him. Unprepared. Then that is where we go. It is madness, but a madness with hope is better than certain death behind Jerusalem's walls. They march east. As the afternoon light fades on November 25th, the Christians reach high ground overlooking a broad valley. Below them lies Saladin's camp, relaxed, scattered, unguarded. Fires burning, horses unsaddled, men eating and laughing. They believe no Christian force is within miles. They are wrong. Baldwin dismounts. His legs tremble, but he kneels. His knights kneel around him. The true cross is raised high. They pray, not for victory, but for the strength to do what must be done. When they rise, Baldwin's voice shouts, "Beyond this hill lies the man who will destroy everything we love. He believes God has abandoned us. Let us show him how wrong he is." Baldwin mounts his horse. The Templars tighten into a wedge. Lances lowering, armor gleaming in the last light. At the tip rides a 16-year-old boy whose body is failing, but whose spirit refuses to. As the sky darkens, Baldwin raises his sword. The thunder begins. They come down the ridge like judgment itself. Not at a gallop, not yet. A controlled descent, every rider steady, every horse poised like a drawn bowstring. The Muslims in the valley look up in confusion. For a heartbeat, no one moves, no one speaks. Then the first shout rises, thin and disbelieving. The Templar wedge tightens. Baldwin lowers his sword, and the world explodes. The trot becomes a canter. The canter becomes a thunderous gallop. The sound rolls across the valley like a storm breaking open. Armor rattling, hooves hammering, lances dropping in perfect unison. The camp reacts too slowly. Archers reach for bows. Cavalry try to mount. Men scream orders that vanish beneath the roar of the charge. The impact is instant. The first line of Saladin's forward troops doesn't break. They're simply removed, swept aside by a wall of steel and horseflesh, moving with unstoppable momentum. Shields fly from hands. Riders topple like wheat under a scythe. Lances punch through shields, splinter into fragments, and are thrown aside as swords ignite into motion. Templars crash through the disorganized Muslim front like a blade slicing cloth. It isn't graceful. It's violent efficiency. A formation built for shock, tearing through men who have no time to brace. Odo de Saint-Amand rides at the heart of it, his voice lost in the roar, but his presence guiding the wedge like a keel through water. His sword rises, falls, rises again, every movement purposeful, nothing wasted. Baldwin rides just behind the tip. Pain claws at him with every jolt of the saddle, but the charge carries him, lifts him, becomes something larger than flesh. The sun flashes off his sword, turning it white hot. A cluster of Kurdish cavalry tries to countercharge. Too late. The Templar wedge strikes them at an angle, ripping straight through their line. Horses twist aside, riders spin, formation collapses. A few manage a counterstrike, blades glancing off armor, bouncing from shields, but they're swallowed by the momentum, pushed back, pushed under. The Muslim camp dissolves into chaos, tents collapsing under pressure, camels panicking and bolting, supply carts overturning. Shouts turn to roars, roars to panic. The Christians don't slow. They press deeper, carving lanes through the camp, splitting units apart faster than they can form. Saladin appears at last, astonished, surrounded by guards who drag him back as the wedge tears closer. He tries to rally his men, but shock has already hollowed them. No one expected a charge here. No one expected 500 to attack 5,000. No one expected the Christians to move like this. The Templars hit Saladin's guard. This, finally, is resistance. Disciplined soldiers locking shields, leaning into their spears, absorbing the full weight of the charge. Horses rear, knights slam shields into faces. The wedge bunches tight as pressure mounts from all sides. For a moment, the momentum falters. Not breaking, not failing, just tightening, sharpening, turning the wedge into a grinding engine of steel. Then the break happens, not dramatic, not loud, just the sudden inward collapse of Saladin's guard as a single gap opens. A shield knocked aside, a horse stumbling, a momentary lapse. The Templars take it. They push through the gap like water through a cracked dam. The guard folds. The circle dissolves. Saladin is pulled onto a camel and rushed away, his personal guard scattering as the Christians carve straight through the center of the camp. The collapse is immediate. Units flee in all directions. Commanders shout to regroup, but the valley is already lost. 500 men, against an army 10 times their number, have shattered it in a single, impossible charge. The Christians do not pursue far. They don't need to. The valley is already breaking beneath them. Smoke hangs low over Montgisard. What was once Saladin's confident army is now a scattering of riders, dropping shields as they run. A few pockets of resistance try to form on the rises. Small knots of Kurdish cavalry, desperate archers behind overturned carts. But every attempt collapses the moment the Christians turn toward them. No formation survives contact. No line holds. Odo pulls the Templars tighter, discipline replacing fury. Their horses slow. The thunder fades. And at the center of it, all rides Baldwin. Or tries to. Every jolt of the saddle sends pain ripping through him. His right arm trembles each time he lifts his sword. His vision blurs. The reins slip. He sways once, twice, then he falls. 2 Templars catch him before he hits the ground. Dust clings to his bandaged face as he lies motionless, too still, too pale. For a moment the valley holds its breath. Then his eye opens, flickering, searching. Did we win? Odo kneels beside him, voice breaking. Yes, my king, you shattered them. Dawn breaks over Montgisard. The light reveals the cost. The Hospitaller Grand Master, Roger de Moulins, will later report 1,100 men killed and 750 wounded. Heavy casualties, but against the destruction of Saladin's invasion, a price Jerusalem can bear. The surviving Christians walk among the fallen. They close the eyes of brothers, speak prayers over bodies. These men who bled for Jerusalem now rest in the land they saved, but they died free. They died victorious. Baldwin wakes at sunrise. His physicians work through the night trying to save him. They cannot understand how he survived, how he fought for hours with a disease that should have killed him. They wrap fresh bandages, mix medicines, know that they are simply delaying the inevitable. But Baldwin insists on standing, on walking among his men. They try to stop him. He will not be stopped. He limps through the camp. His knights see him and fall silent. This boy who refuses to die. This king who defies what his body demands. He stops before each group of soldiers, thanks them, calls them brothers, tells them they have saved Jerusalem. The true cross is raised, mass is said, voices rise in hymns that carry across the killing fields. Word spreads across the Levant faster than fire. Saladin's army destroyed, the invincible Sultan humiliated, the Leper King triumphant. When Baldwin rides through the Damascus gate, the entire population waits. They see their king, 16 years old, wrapped in bandages, barely able to sit his horse, followed by battered knights who look like they have ridden through hell itself. The crowd's celebration catches in their throats. This is what victory looks like. They line the streets without a word, faces lowered, tears they cannot hold back, because they understand the cost. The king is carried to his chambers. The exertion has accelerated the disease, but Baldwin does not complain. He has done what he was born to do, led his people when they needed him most. Saladin retreats to Damascus. His wound heals. His pride does not. He will campaign for another 10 years, will eventually take Jerusalem in 1187, will become legend. But Montgisard haunts him. The memory of that surprise attack, of his army broken by a force he had dismissed as no threat. Without Montgisard, Saladin would have taken Jerusalem in 1177. The entire trajectory of history pivoted on that one afternoon, on a dying boy's refusal to accept defeat, on several hundred knights charging an army many times their size. Baldwin IV dies in 1185. He is 24 years old, has been dying for 15 years. By the end, he can barely walk. His face is unrecognizable, yet he rules until the very end. When death finally claims him, there is relief mixed with grief, because watching him suffer was agony for those who loved him. But his legacy lives forever. The Leper King. The boy who should have been helpless became the warrior who saved Jerusalem. Who taught the world that strength is not measured in flesh? That courage does not require a perfect body. The Battle of Montgisard becomes legend. Chronicles record it in disbelief. A teenage king afflicted with leprosy, leading outnumbered forces to victory through surprise, tactical brilliance, and sheer refusal to surrender. Every military mind said it was impossible. They did it anyway, because Baldwin refused to count the cost, because the Templars refused to measure the odds, because thousands of men refused to let darkness win without a fight. Centuries later, when men speak of impossible victories, they speak of Montgisard. When generals study battles that should not have been won, they study Montgisard. When those, facing overwhelming obstacles, wonder if they can prevail, they remember Baldwin, the Leper King who proved that the human spirit, forged in determination and tempered in fire, can overcome any obstacle the world places in its path. This was the miracle at Montgisard, proof that courage and unwavering resolve can turn the tide, that a dying boy can become a legend, that when all seems lost, sometimes the impossible becomes history. This was EuropaRise, where the past still rides.